Fade in. Interior conference room, no windows. Unseen people surround a conference room table. They watch a screen with several images and stories of a collapsing U.S. economy in 2008. It ends. On the table, a newspaper with the headline, Obama Wins.
And we're sure this will work.
Preliminary evidence suggests it. Otherwise, we're facing full economic collapse.
Everyone sighs and groans.
How many would die?
About 3 million.
What's next?
We'll have to fully vet the models, which will take us about 4 months.
The city. Day. Hustle and bustle. Traffic. Smog. Blight. Interior office. Day. A field of cubicles. Ties, slacks, shirts. Interior cubicle. Blake Collins, mid-30s, sits at his desk. Regular Joe, he has his head on one hand as he works the mouse with another. He peruses CNN.com. December 1st, 2008. Economic mess. Home prices in freefall. Job losses. On the cubicle walls are a calendar with a picture of a bored-looking orangutan. Blake and the monkey look very similar. Also, there are remedial doodles of faces with various expressions. Daniel, 20s, at the next-door cubicle, pulls off his phone headset as he turns towards Blake.
Okay, tenant says he doesn't want to go forward.
Let the leasing agent know.
That's it?
That's it. Not much to this job.
Pause.
You've been here how long?
12 years. Came here when I was your age.
Daniel seems confused.
What keeps you here?
Money.
Blake twists around and faces the kid.
I'm not what you call a high achiever. This is a good alternative to actually choosing a vocation, because I never got a good answer to my question.
What question?
Why?
He answers. He listens, and then hangs up.
Meeting with the boss.
Blake stands.
What that is worth.
Interior office. Blake enters a corner office and hesitates. Seated are a portly Michael, 50s, and Michelle, late 40s.
Sit down, Blake.
Cautious, he takes a seat.
You know Michelle from HR?
Michael refers to a piece of paper.
Due to changes in the company and issues with the economy, I'm afraid we're going to have to terminate your employment.
Silence as Blake soaks this in. Slowly, he comes to life again.
You're going to fire all the tenant admins?
Michael glances at Michelle.
Well, actually, it will only be you.
Blake flashes a curious eye.
I'm the senior person. You just hired the kid. The other 4 have half the experience that I do.
Uncomfortable, Michael nods toward the window overlooking the office. A moment later, a very large security guard enters. Blake looks to Michelle.
And this is okay? What is loyalty worth? He's doing this because I questioned him.
Well, there is a thoughtful criteria that our managers follow in this situation.
Blake nods.
What are you? New? He's not qualified to lick a homeless man's ass.
Michael nervously laughs.
What? I'd hope not.
Michelle looks at him. Blake rolls his eyes. Interior parking lot, day. A trunk opens, and a box drops inside. Inside the box are a couple of frozen dinners, a Vonnegut paperback, 2 DVDs, and various knickknacks. Interior economy car. Blake sits behind the wheel in a trance.
12 years. Most of my professional life. Professional life?
He smirks. The visor flips down, and there sits a row of CDs. He picks out one and slips it into the player as he starts the car. Exterior house, day. Blake pulls to the curb. He hesitates, sighs, and then shuts the car off. Exterior street. Blake steps out. Slowly, his eyebrows curl down to a quizzical look. In the driveway sits a high-end pickup truck loaded with a few pieces of furniture and a lot of boxes. As he approaches the truck, he sees the driver behind the wheel. The driver, 30s, looks at him.
You must be Blake.
Yeah. What is all this?
She's inside. She can tell you.
Blake turns to the house, totally confused. Interior house. Holes in the decor that likely now reside on the truck. A cat sits on the bookcase above it as it critically surveys the scene.
Corinna?
Nothing.
Corinna?
Blake starts toward the hallway as Corinna, 30s and a regular Jane, appears.
Blake? What are you doing here?
I got fired. Downsized. Laid off. Let go. Like I had a place to be. Wait, what's going on?
She shrugs and walks back into the bedroom.
Corinna?
He follows. Interior bedroom. She finishes packing a final box.
Are you...
Leaving you? Yes.
Blake zones out again and then shakes it off.
What? Why? You never talked about this.
We never really talked about anything. And I love someone else.
Just like that. The guy in the truck? But I love you.
She turns and faces him.
No, you don't. You really needed me. You kept going and going. It felt like the thing to do. It seemed to make you happy, and I thought that I wouldn't love anyone else.
The final box gets snapped up, and she walks out. Interior living room. She starts to rush out, and he appears.
What about the house? We bought a house, for Christ's sakes.
You bought a house. I didn't want you to use all your savings, but you didn't listen. You can sell it.
With that, she leaves.
In this market?
The cat leaps down to a chair and looks to Blake. A very harsh and critical cuts the air. Blake looks down to the feline.
Yes, ma'am.
He pets the cat.
Did you know about this?
Interior house, night. Blake on video phone with Anthony, 30s. A kitchen in Anthony's background.
Wow. What you gonna do?
Find another job. If I can.
In this economy?
Thanks. That's motivating. I admit that the job wasn't very good, but it did provide security. Corinna was probably right, but she was someone to wake up to. That's all I needed. Or need. And a little peace.
Go back to school?
Even if I had something I wanted to do, I just don't have it in me. Lend me money?
I just graduated with $160,000 in debt.
Excuses, excuses.
What do you want?
Just a little peace and security. Is that too much to ask for?
Yes, it cost way too much.
Touché.
Well, if you lose the house, you can come live with Joan and me in the basement.
Well, that's going to be great for the ego. What's left of it? And 12 years of savings? Poof.
Behind Anthony, a couple kids run across the screen to the fridge.
Oh, gotta go. Kids are here.
You still have those?
They're the light of my life, my pride and joy. The reason I get up in the morning. And it's only another 6 years before they're out on their ass.
Finally, I'm getting through to you.
Interior gym, night. Blake works out on a Stairmaster at a plain-looking gym. He overdoes it and stops in frustration.
Shit.
Interior bedroom, night. Blake in bed. He twists and turns. Then he kicks his blankets off.
Shit.
Interior room. A light comes on. Wall-to-wall are shallow bookcases filled with music CDs. In the center sits a desk with a deluxe CD player and receiver with headphones. On the other side, a computer. Blake picks out a CD from the sea of music. Interior living room, day. Blake sits in a slouch as he flicks through daytime TV. Montage. Blake takes control of his computer. .coms related to finding a job flick by. Apply Now buttons are clicked, and clicked, and clicked. Resumes and cover letters are stuffed into envelopes amidst beer bottles and food packages. More daytime TV. More working out at the gym. Interior living room, day. Across the room, Blake stares at the phone. On the TV is CNN.
And Barack Obama becomes the 43rd President of the United States.
Blake's eyes go to the TV.
Maybe he's got a job for me.
Interior living room, night. The clock reads 12:17 a.m. A late payment notice for his mortgage stares Blake down. As he sets the letter down, an email on the computer screen catches his eye. The email subject line reads, "You need a job? We need a unique person." The arrow opens the body of the email, which reads, "Take our test." Blake follows the link. The screen switches to a list of questions. Blake's expression shows his confusion.
Green is important to you? Is Mickey a mouse? The Oscars are fixed?
Blake hesitates, then starts to answer. Later. At the end, he presses Submit. The screen then switches back to the email.
The email deleted itself? I gotta get out more.
Interior bedroom. Night. Blake sleeps. Interior arena. Empty. Michael, Blake's boss, stands in the middle of the dirt floor of the empty arena. Eyes dart around as he sweats. Nowhere to run. A door opens and a large man enters. A huge guy, massive, dresses in dirty overalls, a machete in one large hand, and a hockey mask covers his face. Michael gasps. He tries to run. As the large man approaches, he raises the machete. Interior bedroom day. The clock reads 7:22. Goes the phone. Blake bursts out of the blankets. He focuses and grabs the phone.
Hello?
Voice on the other end. Rex Stevens.
Is this Blake?
Yes.
Hello, Blake. My name is Rex Stevens.
Okay.
You took our test last night for employment.
Oh, yes. The, unusual one.
You can say that, I guess. We were rather impressed with your results. Looks like you're what we need.
Oh, great. But I didn't put down any personal info. No place to do that.
We tracked you down through your URL.
Would it not be easier just to ask for the info? Is that even legal?
I would doubt it. So I'd like to meet you to discuss an opportunity with our organization.
Sure.
How about 8 a.m. at Denny's on 6th and Forrester?
That's right around the corner from me.
Yes. I thought it would be convenient for you.
What position is this for?
See you at 8 then.
The line goes dead. The cat jumps on the bed and gives Blake another critical and guttural "Meow."
I know. Weird.
Later, Blake, dressed in his shirt, tie, slacks, jacket, examines himself in the mirror. He sighs. Interior Denny's. Day. Morning crowd. Blake enters cautiously with a small notebook under his arm. He glances around. Out of nowhere, Rex Stevens, 50s, appears in a very nice suit.
Blake?
Yes?
Rex Stevens, thanks for coming.
Rex points to Blake's tie.
I like that tie.
Thanks.
I have a table over here.
Interior table. The two men sit opposite each other, Rex with his crew cut and creepy big smile.
So, here we are.
Yes. Before we get started, I have to say much of this is very irregular. Well, all of it is very irregular.
Absolutely, but this position is with a secretive department of the government, and we feel it necessary to be covert about it.
Rex pulls out a notebook of his own and peruses the contents as Blake tries to take all of this in.
Okay. Would you like to see my resume?
Blake starts to go for his notebook.
No, we know all about you.
Rex laughs.
This was wonderful. The question was, chicks dig musicians. You wrote, but they also like big hats and hate wrestling. What made you say that?
Blake shrugs.
I feel strongly about that.
And cats use sleep to meditate. You said, only when they're not stealing my soul.
Rex closes the notebook when the waitress comes over with a coffee pot.
Coffee?
Absolutely.
She pours. Blake gestures no. She leaves.
Is this for real? I'm not a good candidate for spy.
No. It's for a warehouse superintendent to look over our spy stuff.
Blake smiles.
Okay. You had me going for a minute since I really need a job. But you can't be serious. Where are the cameras?
Rex hesitates.
I know this is strange, but we need a certain type of person for this, and you come very close. Low aspirations, but a need for security. Does well when an opportunity is placed before you. And
Rex refers to his notebook.
Unrealistic expectations about love relationships.
Blake hesitates.
That test told you that?
Yes, but don't worry. We all have our quirks. Look, you need this job. You're about to lose your house. We need someone with a special makeup to handle it. Not like it's hard. We need discretion, and you are someone who would like security for the rest of your life. This pays $132,000 a year.
Blake's eyes widen.
I know. Twice what you were making in that other job where you thought you wouldn't do any better.
Rex finishes his coffee and reaches into his pocket. He presents his business card with only an address.
Be here at 4 p.m. tomorrow. I like you, kid.
With that, Rex slips out of the booth.
Have breakfast. Anything. I'll pick up the tab.
Then he's gone.
Warehouse? I've never worked in a warehouse.
Interior office. At the computer, Blake clicks through various photos of Blake and Corina. In all of them, she seems distant and unhappy. Beer bottles litter the area. He points to the screen.
Now I get it.
Interior bedroom. Dark. Blake sleeps. Suddenly he bolts upright. He slowly turns his head, and in the same bed beside him sits himself, Blake number 2.
I don't think I like this.
What? What are we going to do about this job?
Go and see what it's about?
What if it's something bad? What if we get raped?
What do our rapists look like?
They're dudes.
Oh.
Or if they're bad guy spies like in Alias, where she worked for those bad guy CIA guys and didn't even know it.
That's a TV show?
What is this? Some regular guy gets a job at the CIA out of the blue?
Well, it is the government. They're good at crazy shit. And we do need a job. Besides, look what questioning the dumb stuff got us in our last job.
Blake number 2 shakes his head in disbelief.
Oh, boy.
Interior bedroom. Reality. Blake wakes with a gasp in bed. Alone. He sighs in relief. Interior bathroom. Day. In the mirror, Blake fixes his tie. Exterior. Industrial area. Day. Blake's car appears as Zydeco music pours out of the speakers. Interior car. Blake checks the buildings versus the card Rex gave him. The music cuts out. He finds the right address. A plain but large warehouse. He pulls the car to the side. Interior warehouse. Day. Blake enters. Nothing spectacular in the small wait room. The muffled sound of a warehouse filter in. He steps up to the receptionist.
Can I help you?
I'm here to see Rex. He gave this to me.
Blake hands over the card. Interior offices. Rex leads Blake through plain offices, but nobody around.
I'm glad you took me up on the job. You don't know how long we've been looking for the right person.
Okay.
Blake hesitates as they walk into an inner, regular office.
I don't know what's going on, but this is clearly not a secret spy organization. Is this some stupid reality show? I've been through a lot, and I don't really need to be jerked around.
A nervous pause as Rex closes the door. He takes out his cell phone and pushes a few buttons. Blake, uncomfortable.
I suppose so.
Rex hits the final button. With that, the far wall lifts up to reveal a vast and high-tech warehouse full of boxed items. Shocked, Blake glances up and sees a big speaker where the warehouse sound comes from. Blake looks embarrassed and uncertain.
Touché.
Interior locker room, no windows. Blake closes a locker in the empty room. He looks at his new outfit in the full-length mirror. Black, tailored, slick overalls. More like a superhero outfit. An ID card hangs around his neck. Charles, 60s and big, appears in the doorway. He's one step removed from a drill instructor, and in the same outfit as Blake.
Looks like it fits.
Yes, I think so.
Comfy?
Comfy?
Yes, son. Know what the word means?
Yes, seems to be comfy.
Charles nods.
Doesn't right up in the nuts, does it? Pinch the nards? Sometimes it does.
No, I don't think so.
You do have testes, right?
Last I checked.
That's good. That's good. Let's get started.
Interior warehouse. Concrete floors. 4-level rows.
This is your station. Very basic Excel-type logs for all this stuff.
Charles shows a plain desk with a computer.
That's the inventory.
Charles double-clicks one record, and it goes up.
That's the only record you need.
Does it have internet?
Charles stares at him.
That is the only thing you need.
Blake nods. Ahead of that, a heavy roll-down door.
Basically, you are the record keeper of all this stuff. Some you will know what's inside, most of it you won't.
Charles points in the opposite direction, a shallow ramp that leads down to a very thick blast-type door that could fit a large truck. To the side of that, another smaller one for people access.
That is where they work. I don't know who they are, I don't ask, and you don't ask. Your job is up here. They can see you there.
Charles points to a camera above. Blake nods again.
They will ask you to bring something forward to the door. They will contact you with this.
Charles hands him a cell phone.
They'll take it from there. You get it with that.
Charles directs his attention to a slick forklift.
It's automatic, with a lever that goes up and down.
Charles gives a questioning look to the young man.
Up and down.
Good. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Good, it's all yours.
With that, Charles turns and begins to walk out. After the initial shock, Blake follows.
What does that mean?
I am now retired.
Retired? But I just got here.
You'll be fine. Not much to this job.
Really? There has to be more to it.
Charles reaches another thick door and swipes a card.
Nope, that's about it.
It opens.
Only 30 more years and you can retire too.
And leaves Blake alone, frozen.
More like 35 years till retirement.
After a moment, he turns back to his new job. Blake walks the first row, a variety of items with clear numbers. He hesitates at a coffin-like metal box with a keypad on the side. He pushes himself away. Row 2, and Blake tries the forklift. He finds another box with latches. After a glance in either direction, he pushes open the latches, and about a dozen handguns are inside. A faint squeal. Blake looks up and sees the camera rotate down on him. He fumbles with the box and quickly closes it. Uncomfortable, he waves. He continues on. Row 3, and Blake's eyes widen. Before him sits 3 cars. But these are not cars, they're pieces of art. Bullets with wheels. He slowly steps around them. Blake sits at the desk and tries to be comfortable in the chair. He pulls open each drawer. Nothing. An old pencil. He sighs. Montage. Blake paces. Blake takes a bathroom break. Blake practices with the forklift. Blake sits at the desk. No sound.
This is just weird.
Blake number 2 appears on the other side of the desk.
Who are I to say?
What the hell happened to us?
It's no more boring than our last gig.
Yeah, what is with that? 12 years there. Why aren't we more driven?
What should we have been? Engineer? Lawyer? Doctor? Oh, I know. Writer. It all seems so overwhelming.
Pussy.
The sound of a door as it creaks open. It closes. Amy Marie, 30s, appears and stops. She has a cold air and a professional look with distinctive red hair.
Who are you?
Oh, shit.
My name is Blake.
She tilts her head and only sees one Blake. Blake stands and hits his knee on the desk. She studies him with no expression.
Where's Charles?
Blake looks intimidated.
Retired? I'm the new guy. First day.
She nods, turns away, and walks towards the smaller door. She flicks her ID card and enters the secret area.
Nice to meet you.
That's not a good thing.
Why? I don't even know her. Maybe there's nothing to like.
Oh, you'll find a way.
Interior secret area. Amy sits at her desk and accesses her computer. She switches screens. A line on the screen says, Estimated casualties, 3,214. Mission date, 10 days, 5 hours, 23 minutes. Flashback. The cheers of a crowd grow louder in her memory. The sound of a whistle. Interior gym, day. A girls' basketball game. A young Amy, 15, with distinctive red hair, has the ball. She dribbles down the court. For a moment, she catches mother and father type in the stands. Father in an army uniform and mom in a spotless dress. They're both happy and proud. Young Amy shoots and scores to cheers. She looks up to mom and dad and their approval. Interior church, day. Young Amy sings in the choir. Interior bedroom, night. Young Amy in bed. Darkness. The door opens, and young Amy sees Dad in the doorway. Back to reality. She sighs. Interior Blake's house, day. Blake does the dishes. Blake vacuums the floor. Blake watches TV. More reminders of job losses and economic collapse. Something about swine flu. Blake sighs. Interior warehouse, night. More boredom. Blake sits at the desk and does doodles of faces with various overt expressions. Suddenly, the phone rings and startles him. He answers.
Hello?
Row 3, box 14, place before door.
Oh, right away.
The phone goes dead. On the forklift, Blake manages to grab up the box in question. The forklift sets the box down in front of the big blast doors. Then nothing. Blake looks around.
Did I do something wrong?
With a whoosh, the door slowly opens. 2 gunmen with rifles and sunglasses appear in front of another forklift. They take the box inside, and the door closes.
Now that was very dramatic.
Interior office, night. A plain, windowless office with a utilitarian desk. Alone, Amy sits at the guest chair without an expression. A thick file lays in her lap. After a moment, her eyes drop and she sighs. The door opens with a boss's wrinkled hand.
Oh good, you're here.
We don't see his face. His voice, older. The boss crosses the office and sits at his desk. Amy regains her hardened exterior.
So did you run this model again?
Yes, sir. Same result.
I kind of guessed that.
Yes. Same as the last 7, with small variations. Very small.
Pause. The man leans back in his chair.
And what do you think of that?
Her eyes widen slightly. She licks her lips.
I'm confident that it will do what is needed.
That's not what I meant.
Sir?
The loss of life. 3 million is a lot of people.
Pause. She slowly nods.
Yes, it is.
A glimmer of being rattled shows in her expression.
But unfortunately, the alternative would be much worse.
The boss leans forward.
And you understand that. We have 5 days to go.
Pause.
Yes, sir.
Interior warehouse, night. More boredom. Blake paces the floor. Then the smaller door opens. Amy appears agitated and doesn't notice him. She exits through the outside door. Blake glances around. Nothing. The door shuts. He steps forward. Exterior warehouse. Blake peers out. Amy paces angrily around. She then throws a very powerful kick into a trash bin. Blake clears his throat. She whips around and glares at him. Blake notices an outside camera tilt around to them.
Is everything okay?
Her eyes narrow as she studies him.
Has there ever been a time when everything has been okay?
Blake's eyes widen, and then he slowly nods.
Good point. I'll leave you alone.
He slowly shrinks back into the building. Interior warehouse. Blake paces some more. After a moment, Amy enters. She hesitates as their eyes meet again. She's not so angry anymore. But Blake turns away and pretends to study the storage area. She continues on. Interior Blake's house. Night. Blake watches TV. The cat looks at him and gives another critical.
I agree.
Interior Pizza Joe's. Night. Blake enters the sit-down pizza place. Later, Blake peruses the menu. Then he notices Amy at another table. She sees him too. He hesitantly waves. She nods. Later, Blake raises a piece of pizza to his mouth as Amy sits across from him.
Do you bowl?
Like with pins and a big ball?
Yes.
I guess.
Interior bowling alley. Night. Amy throws the ball and hits most of the pins. Blake's eyes widen. Blake number 2 leans in.
What do you think she wants?
To bowl?
Has to be more to it than that.
I love to bowl. Used to as a kid. Never have the time for it now.
She grabs another ball and knocks down the rest of the pins.
Well, I won't be much competition.
I figured that.
But she seems more into the game versus interacting with him. Amy and Blake sit in the scoring desk. Amy chows on chicken wings. Blake has a confused look.
So, how long have you worked?
But Amy gives him the evil eye.
You shouldn't talk about that.
I just figured since we both...
No.
A pregnant pause.
Can I talk about Fight Club instead?
Amy sighs and then puts the food down.
Maybe we should call it a night.
Amy begins to collect her things.
Just wanted some normal time.
Look, I'm sorry.
She leans in with a stone-cold stare.
You can never talk about it.
She stares him down. He nods. She walks away. Interior bedroom, night. Blake wide awake in bed in the dark. Blake number 2, in a smoking jacket and pipe, sits at the end of the bed.
Strange girl, don't you think?
I suppose so.
Then why are you worrying about it?
Blake thinks about it.
You're like one of those regular girls who wants to be swept up by the doctor or lawyer or Navy pilot.
Blake gives a critical eye to Blake number 2.
What are you wearing?
Interior warehouse, night. Blake sits at the desk in the middle of the empty, quiet warehouse. The sound of a heavy door opens and closes. Then the sound of footsteps. Blake's eyes widen. Then Amy appears around the corner as Blake straightens in his chair. She doesn't seem to notice him as she passes and disappears through the other door. Later, Blake exits the restroom and comes upon a man in sunglasses beside the desk.
Oh, hello.
We need a light truck.
Light truck?
Short blue truck in the lot. Keys inside. Follow the 3 other trucks.
Blake nods. Exterior, lot. 3 other panel trucks, big vans, idle. A driver pokes his head out.
Want to hurry up? We're on a schedule. The one in the corner.
Exterior street. In another panel truck, Blake follows the others onto the freeway. They exit the freeway. They exit any semblance of the city and into the hills. Interior truck.
We're coming up to it.
They round a corner, and a similar truck sits before a cave in the moonlight. The 3 other trucks pull to the side.
Park parallel, next to the other truck.
Blake positions the truck cab in front of the other one. Another dude sits behind the wheel with a backwards baseball cap. He waves at Blake. The dude then exits the truck and comes beside Blake's window. He wears a similar outfit that Blake wears.
Hey, man, you guys from West Side?
I'm not sure, but we're on the West Side.
That would be the giveaway. See the red button?
Blake notices a red button on the dash. From the cave.
What was that?
I don't know. They don't tell me nothing. But we get one about every month. When I hit my lights, you do yours.
The dude casually climbs back into his truck. On the other truck, the sidewall peels back, and a bank of brilliant lights spill into the cave.
Whoa.
Blake pushes his lights with double the effect. Another animal grunt from the cave. The 3 other trucks empty with several dozen heavily armed personnel in full black body armor and face masks. They all swarm into the cave. Blake wide-eyed as he hears several voices bark back and forth, mixed with the animal protest. The dude appears again at Blake's window, but this other guy seems almost bored.
You just started?
Blake whips around.
What? What's going on?
Don't worry about that. Whatever it is, you just get it under control.
Usually? Not always?
Then someone goes airborne out of the cave and lands on the ground.
Whoa, don't see that every day.
The person stands and then pulls off their face mask. It's Amy. Blake's eyes are saucers. She then tosses the mask away and charges back into the cave. After a moment, the noise of commotion calms down.
And there you go.
The dude notices Blake's anxiety.
You'll get used to it. It's the government after all. They know what they're doing.
The dude then returns to his truck. Another of the trucks appears and backs up against the cave entrance. Doors open. Blake sees quick flashes of a large tarp that covers something big as it loads into the back. Exterior freeway, night. Blake follows the other trucks. Interior warehouse, night. Blake steps into the warehouse as the big, mysterious interior doors closes with a hiss. He drops down into the desk and sees a small piece of paper on his computer. He opens it up and reads, "Bowling. Same place. 12 noon tomorrow." The expression on his face switches from happy to confused, to happy to confused. Interior bowling alley, day. Blake enters and looks around. Very slow today. Amy plays at the far lane. Amy throws a ball and gets all but one pin. A blank expression greets Blake.
Hi, got your note.
She nods.
Can I at least ask your name?
Amy.
Pause.
I'm glad you came.
She turns back as her ball appears. Blake glances at Blake number 2.
I got nothing.
Amy rolls a strike. Blake looks at her and then approaches. Their eyes meet.
I don't know why I'm here, but I know it's not because of anything romantic on your part.
Amy contemplates this and nods.
Fair enough. Your turn.
Montage. Amy rolls well. Blake rolls badly. Amy rolls well. Blake does even worse. Blake sits beside Amy.
You were right. You are bad.
Told you. You're going to get the same performance on the pool table, too.
Pause.
You're here because I wanted to bowl with someone normal. That place doesn't have any normal people. Not anymore.
I don't know if I'm normal.
Oh, you are. At least for now.
And what are you?
Someone led astray.
With that, she stands and steps up to the lane. Amy hits another strike. She turns and sits beside Blake.
Oh, good. More humiliation. But I'm used to it.
Blake starts to stand.
To answer your question,
Blake hesitates and looks at her.
I'm someone who fixes other people's screw-ups.
Blake mulls this over.
I'm 34 and my girlfriend of 5 years just left me.
He reaches for a ball.
My only girlfriend in 34 years.
Amy has a quizzical look.
Okay, that is weird.
The leaving me part?
No, the other part. 34 years?
Blake nods.
Told you I wasn't normal.
With that, Blake throws the ball, which promptly finds the gutter. Montage. They bowl as they talk.
How'd you only get one woman in that time?
Time flies. You get busy with other things. Your turn.
She studies Blake.
I've only had 3 boyfriends.
Blake nods.
I would have guessed more.
Now you.
My parents died in a car crash.
A pause.
Really? So did mine.
Another pause.
Sucks, huh?
Yeah. I'm pregnant.
Blake hesitates.
Oh. Congratulations?
It won't be for long.
Pause.
Does this mean we're friends?
Sure. Why not?
Because I don't have anything like that.
Probably because you're normal.
Interior bar. Night. The bar attached to the bowling alley behind. Amy and Blake are drunk.
She was right. I didn't love her. I just guess I'm needy. Do I seem needy?
Yeah, you do.
Wow. You're honest. I'd expect you to placate me.
I'm not that type of girl.
Blake nods.
Who's the daddy of your kid?
He leans in and whispers.
A spy?
No, just someone. He doesn't know.
It must be easy. Pretty gal wants some companionship, she just picks and chooses. Regular guy like me? No.
He shakes his head.
Sounds about right.
This is when you're supposed to placate me.
I don't know how.
Okay, time for coffee.
Later, Blake drinks coffee.
My father was a Marine all his life, so I joined the Marines out of college and was then recruited by the service.
That's who we work for?
She nods.
You know what I always wanted to be?
She shrugs.
Nothing. My father was an accountant. Never wanted to be one. I love music. Never picked up an instrument or ever had the drive. Nothing ever came to mind. I always thought that people really wanted to be what they ended up as. A dentist once told me he liked sculpting, so he thought it was the logical conclusion. Another said he wanted to be a macrobiologist or something, but it was too hard. So he chose architecture. A girl I met had 2 majors and didn't care about either. She just did it. But me, I could never bridge that divide.
A pregnant pause.
Maybe we should go back to drinking.
Exterior bowling alley. Night. Amy and Blake exit. They hesitate.
Are you all right to drive?
Oh yeah, I had 3 cups of coffee.
Pause. Blake looks at her.
Well, it was fun. Good to have a friend.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that thing that threw you out of the cave?
She smiles.
Good night, friend.
She steps away. Blake number 2 appears by his side as he eats an ice cream cone.
You two seem to get along together great. Too bad she won't fuck you.
Blake number 2 slaps Blake on the back and walks off too.
Do you have to be so blunt?
Interior house. Night. Blake lays asleep in a chair as CNN broadcasts.
And there are more deaths reported in Mexico City from the swine flu epidemic.
Interior apartment. Night. Amy stands in her utilitarian apartment. A few family pictures on the wall, but she stares at her diploma on the wall. Mathematics, MIT.
The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
An apparition, more faint than Blake number 2, of her father appears behind her, in his army dress.
That's right. They don't. I'm so proud of you.
He steps around her with a beaming smile.
This is exactly what I expected of my little girl. Strong, smart, serving her country.
Amy conflicted.
You'll save a lot of lives. You'll make our country strong again.
Why, Dad?
Why? I pushed you because I loved you. I thought you could be the best. And now you are.
No, not that.
Father loses his good cheer for a moment. Then he starts to smile again. But this smile slowly morphs into something wicked and evil. He leans in.
I've always loved you.
Alone in the room, Amy crosses her arms and shivers. Interior warehouse. Day. Blake sits at the desk. No sounds. Alone. Blake number 2 appears.
How long do you think you can be just friends?
It's not an off or on black or white thing.
So what's it at now?
What part of it?
You are a pain in the ass.
The sound a door as it opens, then closes. Then the sound of footsteps. Amy appears and hesitates. She eyes Blake, expressionless. Blake slowly loses his smile. He smiles. Amy continues on to the secure door and disappears inside. Interior, hallway. Amy steps down an office hallway and past one office. Interior office. Inside the office sits Joe, 50s. He's alone at his desk and in deep thought. After a moment, he looks down at the top of his desk. A vest full of C4, like the one you'd see on a suicide bomber. A detonator. Flashback. Interior hospital day. Joe stands over the hospital bed of a woman, 50s, unconscious, sickly. He holds her hand. Interior conference room day. Other suited types, including Joe, around the table. They listen to Amy's unseen boss.
How many would die?
About 3 million.
Exterior graveyard, day. A funeral around a casket. Joe stands there too. Back to reality. Joe lifts the belt off the desk. Interior cubicle. Amy works at her terminal. She stands, picks up a file, and walks out. Interior hallway. She walks past Joe, jacket unbuttoned, without acknowledgement. Joe appears in the small but equipment-laden workspace with several other employees. The detonator appears in his hand. Nobody takes notice of him.
It's not wrong.
Amy enters another office full of stations and computer racks and sits at another terminal. Blake, still at his desk.
35 more years.
Joe unbuttons his jacket, the suicide vest on underneath.
If nothing is right.
People begin to notice. He pushes the button. Joe evaporates into a red stain as the explosives cough out a giant fireball and swallow everything in its path. The wall collapses and slams Amy against the far one. Interior warehouse. The big door buckles out, flies across the floor, and catches Blake as it goes. Nothing moves for a long moment. Fire. Smoke. Amy stirs. She gets to her feet, cuts and bruises. A voice in her head.
They're gone.
Blake's eyes flutter open. Amy makes her way through the debris and bodies to the main control room. Nothing moves. The father apparition appears behind her.
It's only you now.
She turns, and he's gone. Blake on his feet, and not a clue what to do. Amy turns around and heads out. Blake sees Amy appear out of the secret place. They study each other.
What was that?
I think a difference of opinion.
A thought shows through her eyes.
We have to go.
Shouldn't we call 911? Help anybody else?
We have to help ourselves.
Exterior street. Amy and Blake make it to his car. They climb inside. Sirens in the distance. Smoke and fire at their back. Interior car. Blake starts the engine and drives.
Where are we going?
I have a storage locker.
Blake thinks.
Are we in trouble? It seems like we're running.
We are in trouble, Blake. I think I could use your help right now. It's either that or try and disappear, because they'll try to kill you once they find out you survived.
Confusion floods his face.
Yeah, I'll stick with you.
Thank you, Blake.
Interior storage locker, day. The door of a nondescript storage locker opens and Amy enters. She turns on a light.
Come in.
Blake enters and she closes the door. Blake looks over several footlockers as Amy opens one. It has a few trays of handguns and clips. She chooses a few and begins to stuff a FedEx box with them.
This is very strange. I feel I should be freaking out, but I don't actually feel like that. But what happened back there?
I'm not sure. I would assume we were sabotaged. I don't know by who, though.
Interior warehouse, night. Firemen douse the mess. A few agents, 1 to 4, in the background. One of the agents on his cell phone. He closes it.
The police have been pushed back.
Another agent, number 5, approaches the group.
They're all dead, but we have 2 missing.
Who?
A new warehouse guy and an analyst. The main architect of the plan.
Agent number 1 nods. Interior storage unit, night.
What do we do now? Mexico?
I have to finish something and have 2 days to do it. Want to go?
I have a cat.
You know you can never go back there.
Blake nods and thinks.
Maybe I can call animal control. At least give her a chance.
Amy hands him a cell phone. She then pulls some fresh clothes out. She boots up a laptop on a table. Blake then positions himself in front of a white backdrop. A camera appears, and she takes his photo.
What's that for?
A few keystrokes and a template for a California driver's license appears.
Whoa, you are prepared.
Standard procedure. You want to choose another name?
Exterior street, day. Blake and Amy in front of a convenience store as they wait. Blake looks at his new fake ID. Gary Steele. Blake number 2 appears at Blake's side.
What are you doing?
I don't know, it seems like the thing to do.
But this is crazy.
Yeah, that is true.
If this is to get into her pants, it's going too far.
I don't think it's that.
Then what?
I don't know.
Aren't you afraid of dying?
Blake looks at Blake number 2.
I would if I had something great to live for.
Well, isn't that dramatic?
Interior cab, day. Blake and Amy in the back of a cab.
Okay, going to the airport. But where are we going?
New York. My boss was to give the final code to start the operation, but he won't now. We have to do it on site.
Blake thinks.
What is the operation?
Amy hesitates.
It's hard to explain, but I will. Soon.
Blake sighs.
Can you give me a hint?
Amy eyes the driver.
No.
Interior airliner, night. Amy and Blake sit side by side in the near-empty 747. She sleeps as Blake absently taps his finger on the tray. He occasionally pops a peanut as Blake number 2 paces up and down the aisle. A $20 bill appears on the tray as...
Do you believe in the devil?
Blake looks to her as Blake number 2 appears. Blake picks up the 20.
Is this a root of all evil question?
That is the devil. We'd be lucky to have the traditional horns and pitchfork. At least we would know he is and that he is looking to hurt us. We would have an alternative to him. We could turn away from him.
She reaches over him and taps the bill.
This is part of us all. Each and every person on Earth.
During Amy's monologue, various images of interior street, night. A sleazy man smiles at a busty prostitute. He produces 2 $20 bills.
It provides for us, and it takes from us.
Interior mansion, day. Beautiful. Expensive car outside the window. Middle-aged man sits in a chair. A young wife approaches.
Have stolen it? Have killed for it?
Interior liquor store, night. A shifty man holds up a clerk. The crook grabs the money and then shoots the clerk.
How many people have lied for it?
Interior restaurant, night. A young man schmoozes an old rich woman.
Been destroyed by it?
Interior Wall Street trading floor. Various images of numbers on the board as they drop like rocks. Exterior houses, day. Several houses with foreclosure signs.
Geared their lives toward it? And we value it over others?
She sits back with the 20.
Now a few people have turned this against us. Those few have turned this beast against us, and its hunger for souls is now insatiable. Even if we hate it, we can't escape it. We have to satisfy it. Sacrifice a few to make a better life for the majority.
She waves the bill.
Isn't there another way?
She smiles.
We asked that, and again, and again, and then asked our smart electronic boxes. We came up with one answer. People must die to make room for others. They must die in a certain way to reset this thing.
Blake sighs and drops his head.
How many?
About 3 million.
Many more than that are jobless.
That's not the purpose. It's resetting the machine.
Blake's eyes close in pain.
Don't you value human life?
Amy hesitates and then leans into him. As she speaks, various images of murder, war, spousal abuse, a sleazy man as he stalks children.
Look around. Humanity doesn't value human life. It made up its mind long ago. My job is just to keep it going, whatever that may be.
What if I don't help you? What if I try to stop you?
You know you can't do that. I won't even kill you. You talk, and you'll kill yourself by doing that. And nobody will believe you.
She pats him on the leg.
I like you, Blake.
She leans back in the chair and closes her eyes.
Let me know when we land.
Exterior airport, day. Interior airport. Amy and Blake exit the plane. Blake finds a water fountain.
Did you sleep at all?
No.
Too much on your mind? Sorry about that. But are you going to stick with me?
Blake thinks.
Why not? Even though it's fucking nuts, it does make sense. Where do you think it started?
What?
The belief that we each have some sort of worth.
Amy smiles.
I hope that we have value, Blake. I really do. I just haven't found out what that is.
Amy starts to walk off as Blake number 2 appears.
Are you nuts?
Probably. But it's kind of calming.
Blake follows Amy. Interior small control room, windowless. The agents work on their consoles. Agent number 1 steps by.
Found him.
The agents group around. On screen, a frozen picture of Amy and Blake, likely from a surveillance camera.
Facial recognition failed to catch them leaving L.A., but they arrived in New York 20 minutes ago.
Agent number 1 has a phone.
We need the plane wheels up in 1 hour. We're going to New York.
Exterior hotel, day. The cab pulls to the curb and lets off Blake and Amy at the posh hotel. Interior hotel room. Very nice. Blake and Amy enter.
I thought we would just go do it now.
We have time. And I needed a shower.
Blake opens the drapes and reveals a breathtaking view of the city.
Are we going to die too?
No. We'll have time. We just have to leave the city limits within an hour or so.
Blake nods.
Then what happens?
She purses her lips as she begins to undress.
I don't know. Truck stop waitress in Wichita?
Down to her underwear, she looks at him.
Want to take a shower?
I will. After.
She steps up to him.
I thought you wanted me.
Yes, I did.
Not now?
I don't know what I want now.
They study each other. Amy nods and turns. She disappears into the bathroom. Blake number 2 appears.
This isn't good.
This? I agree. But it's not the only thing.
Can't we just go back to how it was before?
Blake smirks.
That was even worse. We just didn't know it.
I was okay with it.
This is it. Truth. Reality. We're just cogs in a machine, fodder for cannons. We said this to ourselves, but really didn't believe it. There was a hint of doubt which told us that, sure, life's a bitch and then we die. But if you try a little harder, you save a little more. You're that much more a good person, then life would grant you some happiness, some contentment. But her computer says different. And her computer is right.
Blake number 2 leans in and grins with clenched teeth.
Then why aren't you in there right now?
He gestures to the bathroom and the sound of the shower.
Why aren't you getting what you can from probably the hottest woman you would ever get, outside a $3,000 hooker?
Blake grimaces.
Because it doesn't matter anymore. Never did in the first place.
It put a smile on your face at 85.
85? We're already dead. Have been. For a long time now. Catch up.
Exterior, sky, night. A private jet streaks through the clouds. Interior, jet. The 5 agents. No one else. Agent number 1 checks his BlackBerry.
Another 2 hours.
Agent number 1 looks around. Across from him, agent number 2, nose in his laptop. The screen flashes through hotel lobby video. Agent number 3 sleeps with arms crossed in his chair. Agent number 4 eats a small package of cookies. Agent number 5 has a look of deep contemplation.
What's on your mind?
Agent 5 looks up.
I have a neighbor at my apartment. He plays music very loud. Won't listen to reason.
Silence. He glances at his colleagues.
Kill him.
Silence.
No, not again.
Interior hotel room, night. Blake's eyes open, and he sees Amy in a beautiful evening dress.
Ready?
For what?
Dinner?
He hesitates.
Dinner?
Yes. We're in New York. Have to have dinner here. We'll finish work tomorrow.
Okay.
He stands.
Where'd you get the dress?
Ordered it from the store downstairs and got you some fresh clothes in the bedroom. 32 length, 32 waist?
Yes.
He steps into the bedroom and finds slacks, shirt, coat, shoes, socks, and underwear. Interior cab, night. Blake and Amy ride in the cab. They do not talk. He looks her over.
You look very nice.
She smiles.
Thank you.
Interior fancy restaurant. At a table, Blake looks over a menu with very expensive prices. Amy is absent.
Holy shit.
I'd say souffle.
We were 10. I don't even remember if it was any good.
Who gives a shit? You don't know what half these things taste like.
Interior restroom. Amy adjusts her hair in the mirror. Her father appears behind her. Her face goes dark.
You know they'll come for you.
I know.
The door opens and another woman walks in. She only sees Amy. Amy exits. Interior restaurant. Amy appears in the dining room. Her father steps in front of her.
You should do it soon.
We have some time.
She steps around her father. Blake looks up as Amy appears and sits down.
I don't know what to order.
It's all delicious. Trust me.
She picks up her menu.
Who was that guy you were talking to?
Her eyes widen.
Guy?
The one in the uniform.
Shock over her face, but hidden behind the menu.
Nobody.
Later, the waiter takes away the plates.
I think that was the best meal I've ever had. Last meal?
Amy smiles as she sips her drink.
Don't be so negative.
Silence.
Maybe we should have sex.
Amy's eyes widen.
You think so? What if I changed my mind?
I didn't necessarily mean with each other.
Silence.
Do you think it'll work? Will everyone find a chicken in their pot? Will little Billy go to college? Will the world be safe for democracy?
She looks at him. The waiter returns.
Would you like to see the dessert menu?
Amy raises an eyebrow to Blake. He smiles.
Sure.
The waiter disappears. Pause. Amy's eyes drop and turn dark.
Maybe I should tell you exactly what we need to do.
Blake hesitates.
Why?
In case.
You think I would do it?
You have to.
The waiter reappears with the dessert tray. Interior restaurant lobby. Amy faces the door of the restaurant. Very few people are around. She sees next to no one on the street. Blake appears.
Okay. Ready?
She stops him.
You still have it?
Uncomfortable, he smiles.
Yes.
A piece of paper appears from his pocket. She nods and then looks into his eyes. Blake uncertain about her. She absently touches him.
I'm sorry.
After a moment, he understands her look and nods.
Yeah. So am I.
She turns, and then they step out to the street. Exterior restaurant.
A cab?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Just raise your hand.
Blake steps to the curb, sees a cab, and raises his hand. Then a brief whistle in his ear. Puzzled, he turns. Amy, wide-eyed. Her mouth opens and closes like a fish out of water. A red spot on her chest grows wider. He takes a step towards her, but another shot kicks her back against the wall. She falls to the ground as he leans over. The few pedestrians go the other way or take cover.
What happened? What happened?
Suddenly, Agent number 1 and number 2 appear. An SUV pulls up, driven by Agent number 3. Agent number 4 and number 5 appear and try to lead a catatonic Blake away. Number 1 and number 2 attend to Amy.
Come on, pal. Let us help her.
Amy, barely conscious, looks up to 1 and 2. She focuses on 2.
Stephen?
Hello, Amy.
You killed her son.
Agent 2 hesitates. A small gun appears in her hand.
Gun!
And she shoots Stephen in the head. He drops. Agent 1 has his gun out and fires into Amy. Blake watches it, helpless. 3 and 4 release Blake a second later. Blake's eyes go to 4's holster and grabs the agent's gun before he does. Blake stumbles back and fires wildly. 4 takes a shot in the shoulder. 1 and 3 train on Blake a moment after he ducks into an alley. Then Blake has about a 10-second lead on the agents. Blake passes in and out of the shadows. He then sees an open window of a dark apartment. He leaps through and crashes over a bureau. Interior apartment. With a groan, Blake returns to his feet and yanks the window closed. No sound. His eyes dart around. A few seconds later, the SUV slowly passes the window. Blake number 2 appears behind.
Take a minute. Catch your breath.
Blake closes his eyes. The heart beats slow and disappear.
They shot her.
I know. You shot that guy.
Who are they?
Some kind of agents. They want to stop her plan.
Pause.
How'd I get out of that?
He looks at the gun. His shoulder drops.
They killed her. She's dead.
You're going to do it, aren't you?
Blake doesn't have an answer.
I should get out of here before these people come home.
Interior apartment building, hallway. Blake peeks out. Nobody around. He exits the apartment. Then he haphazardly conceals the gun. Eyes wide, his glance darts around. Exterior street. Blake appears.
It was an SUV, a dark SUV.
He walks to the corner, alert. He finds a cab and jumps inside. Interior cab. The cab driver turns around.
Where to?
Blake frantically searches his pockets. He finds the piece of paper.
1212 Sterling Drive.
The driver nods, and the cab pulls out.
So, shouldn't something else happen?
Blake just looks at him in the seat beside.
Like what?
I don't know, some revelation about life, some churning of the soul.
I'm not feeling it.
Exterior street, night. The cab turns the corner and stops at a nondescript apartment building labeled 1212. Interior cab.
1737.
Blake pulls out his wallet. He first goes for his credit card, then hesitates. He takes out a 20 and hands it over.
Keep it.
Blake exits. The cab drives away. Exterior street. Blake looks up the building. Uncomfortable. He looks around. A bar at the corner. Interior bar. A near-empty dive. Blake enters and takes a seat. Old bartender comes over.
What'll it be, kid?
Tequila. And a beer. Tap.
Old bartender nods and sets Blake up. He shoots the tequila and winces.
Do you know me?
Sorry?
Do you know me?
The old bartender looks at him closely.
I don't think so, son.
I'm a lost man. I've sold my life for compromise, and that wasn't even enough. I'm a nobody.
Yes, I think I've met you before.
I think I'm a good person, but that isn't worth anything.
He shakes his head.
The world is crazy, and I think I'm on my way to joining it.
What took you so long?
Blake acknowledges him with an overt point of his finger.
I wasted a few years on a woman that didn't love me, and I had no clue. I totally had my head up my ass. And then I met a woman that was... I don't know if there is a word.
He trails off.
She was the fork in the road, reminding me of my limitations, reminding me of my purpose in life, my role. And it wasn't meant to be profound.
The bartender nods.
Do you know what it is to be worthless? Irrelevant?
The bartender leans in.
Son, you're in the right place.
The bartender knocks on the bar and then steps off. Blake finishes his beer and then checks his wallet. No cash. He puts a credit card on the bar. Interior restroom. Blake finishes at the urinal and then turns to the sink. He washes as someone else appears out of a stall. A fat guy, his head down. He takes the other sink. Blake looks over and sees Michael, drunk, his old boss.
I love this town. I'm on vacation.
The one that fired him.
Well, it's at the hotel.
Michael turns and sees Blake. Then he does a double take.
Blake?
He steps back, startled. Blake just stares. An uncomfortable pause.
Well, I hope you're doing well.
No, you don't.
He smiles nervously. Nothing from Blake.
Well, of course I...
Slowly, Michael's expression turns sour.
No, I don't. I don't give a shit. If you would have just kept your mouth shut, you'd still have a job. But it had to be some asshole. It was all your fault.
Another pause. Michael ready for an attack. Blake pulls out the gun and shoots Michael in the knee. The fat guy drops as the shot resonates in the tiled room. Blake sighs and leans over the wounded man.
I do have a job. A very important one.
Blake turns and steps out. Exterior building 1212. Blake hesitates and looks up to the building. He then enters. Interior building. Blake steps up the second floor in the apartment building. Apartment 2B. He tries the doorknob and it turns. He enters. Interior apartment. Another door, thick and metal. A numbered pad to the side. Blake pulls out the piece of paper and dials in 5 numbers. The door clicks open. He enters. A long hallway. Interior living room. Blake finds the light switch. All the windows have drapes. Over those drapes are steel bars. No furniture here either. Then the device. A plastic drum with tubes that lead up to the roof. A computer terminal hooks up to everything. Blake touches the computer. Exterior dive bar, night. Cop cars and an ambulance at the dive bar. The paramedics roll out Michael. The agent's SUV appears at the corner. Interior SUV. Number 5 drives. Number 1 in the passenger seat. 3 and 4 in the back seat. 4 looks weak with a patch on his bloody shoulder. Number 1 checks a computer tablet.
That's the bar where he used the credit card.
3 has an earphone that leads to a police scanner.
Cops haven't found him.
He's close.
The SUV slowly continues. Agent number 1 eyes the street.
He couldn't have walked here. He took a cab.
He refers to the tablet.
This'll take a few minutes.
Interior apartment. The computer boots up and asks for a password. Blake enters something. After a moment, the screen blings. Blake smirks.
Just press enter. That figures.
Exterior street. The agents exit the truck. In the back, under a blanket, are the bodies of number 2 and Amy. The agents stand in front of 1212 and study the building.
This is where the cab dropped him. He must have gone to the bar after that. to contemplate what he was about to do.
There, second floor.
They focus on a corner apartment, draped windows, the haze of the bars behind.
Who puts bars inside?
Interior apartment. Blake's finger hovers over the keyboard.
Just press enter.
Blake number 2 appears.
Is there any way I can talk you out of this?
Sure. Bring Amy back to life. Then she can talk me out of it.
He steps back.
What's wrong?
I can't see them.
The 3 million? None of them. The children? The people with their lives ahead of them? The ones in the sunset of life? Life. Maybe you're just an asshole.
Michael said that. You saw what happened to Michael.
Blake number 2 puts his hands up.
Sorry.
Pause.
It's not like 3 million is a lot of people, relatively speaking.
Interior building, second floor. The 4 agents narrow in on apartment 2B. Number 1 tries the door. Interior, apartment. The 4 fit in the small space and close the door. Guns appear. Agent 1 finds a tiny tool in his pocket and takes apart the dial pad. Interior apartment. The door clicks open. No sound. The agents step in. 1, 3, 4, 5. They near the light in the living room. A side door opens by Blake, who shoots 5 in the face. The door slams shut a moment before the agents open fire. Interior room. Blake narrowly leaps into an adjoining room as bullets punch holes in the walls. 1, 3, and 4 break down the door. Nobody there. Burst through the adjoining door and drop 3. 1 and 4 return fire. Interior living room. Blake appears, his eyes wide. Blood patch in his gut. He eyes the computer across the room. He takes a step. Number 1 and number 4 appear.
Don't move, kid.
Blake begins to collapse, but as he does, his arm whips out and number 1 in the face.
Shit.
Agent 4 kicks the gun away. On his back, Blake looks up to the ceiling. He smiles as he coughs up blood.
I'm just some guy, and I killed most of you. You guys really suck.
Agent 4 bites his lip. Blake's eyes flutter.
I don't feel anything. It's great. No pain. No more pain.
Then he dies. The sound of running footsteps grow louder from the street into the building. Interior Blake's house. Night. The cat wakes suddenly. He looks over the still, dark house. He stands. Exterior Blake's house. The cat appears and crosses to the fence. He leaps up and over. Interior backyard. The cat surveys the house next door. The old lady watches TV in the living room. The cat glances back and then trots forward.